So the first day we opened, a mama came in and was in the back here, because if you go to the back, that's where the kids' books are. And me and Tom were up front. It's first day. We're excited. And then I come back here, and the mom is in the corner, and she's crying. And I freak out, and I go over to Tom. I said, Mama's crying. What's going on? And we go back there, and we're like, are you all right? And she was holding a book in Spanish, a kid's book in Spanish. And she said, I've never been in a bookstore before and seen a kid's book that looks like my kid.
That was poet and Medicine for Nightmares bookstore owner, Josiah Luis Alderete. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a podcast about artists, activists, and small businesses that make this city unlike any other in the world. In this episode, part 2 of 2, we pick up where we left off in part 1, with Josiah talking about what it means to open a business in the neighborhood that raised him. Here's the conclusion of my chat with Josiah Luis Alderete.
So in our humble way, I think we've tried to really do that now,
Like it was in the mission, but not of the mission.
Of the mission, yeah, exactly. And Kate, honestly, she said something at one time along the lines of like, I'm a white lady, open the bookstore here in the neighborhood, how much am I going to connect with folks? And she connected with tons of people. I mean, she's beloved, and you can't not think of the mission bookstores without her.
Right.
It's a big thing.
Yeah.
But again, she'd gone as far as she could go, reaching out to community and connecting with community and that stuff. So for us, I think the Galleria really went into a whole other life like that, because for us, it's also been about having the art shows on the walls every 4 to 8 weeks, really highlighting neighborhood poets, writers, people doing things here in the neighborhood. That's it's a big thing. So that's I think that's given this space a lot of energy, because over time too, we have events at night, but now teachers from Buena Vista School use the space sometimes to meet.
Very cool.
When the food vendors on 24th Street and Mission Street were thinking about forming a union, they use this place to meet in the daytime.
Nice.
We have Tatris circles that meet here in the afternoons. We have workshops taught here in the afternoons. So the space is a performance space. It's a gallery. It's a place where people do things, but it's also a place where it's now becoming a place for meetings and
community,
connecting. Yeah, in that way, and I think.
Was that, I'm guessing when you opened, you didn't even know some of this stuff would happen. You just kind of let it, or?
Yeah, honestly, I didn't think, because really the Galleria is turning into its own other space. I mean, they're connected. The portal is the Galleria and the bookstore, right? You walk through the bookstore to get to the Galleria, and you walk out of the Galleria, go through the bookstore. But since we've opened, we've been open 3 years. I counted. We've had over 800 events back here.
Oh my God.
800, which is
my math sucks, but that's barely as many days as you've been open.
No, some weekends we have 2 or 3,
Right.
Well, it'll be a workshop, a fucking presentation, and then an event. So,
yeah.
And all of them have been free to the public. When there's monthlies or there's donations, but the donation goes to the performers, that kind of thing. So the space has really turned into something else, and people are starting to recognize it like that, We had our first baby shower here on Sunday. It was the most beautiful thing. Anthony's a neighborhood muralist, and his partner Jen, they're having a baby, and it was gorgeous. Man.
That's
it was
sweet.
So beautiful,
yeah.
Oh my God! So I never would have thought that we'd be having a baby shower here when I first opened. But
right.
It's such a beautiful thing.
No, but I think that speaks to how you've decided to present the place and the space to the world. It's it's open.
Yeah.
It's accessible to folks.
And the folks in the neighborhood see it as their space, their home. Because Anthony, that's how they felt in here. It was
right.
so. Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Do you want to talk about? I don't want to reduce what you're doing with the bookstore to call it a niche. Uh-huh. What goes into the books that you choose to sell?
Oh, what goes in? Well, let's see. Let's back up a little bit. So,
yes.
Basically, I haven't checked in a year or two, because I get mad whenever I do. But the last time me and Ton checked, I think the percentage was like 75 or 80% of the bookstores in the United States are white owned. So even in the best case scenario, in the most well-intended scenario, you're going to find something on the shelf picked by other people. I say that in the beginning because Tom worked at Ton's Book People, right? My bookstore sister, she worked at City Lights 15 years. Okay. She worked at Modern Times when it was on Valencia Street, I think 7 or 8. She worked at this bookstore in Philly for years. I was at City Lights. I grew up, I went through my entire public education not reading one writer of color.
Right.
At all.
Right.
I was educated by bookstores. Basically, if it wasn't for City Lights, I probably wouldn't have found the Chicano Poet. I'll never forget that moment. I went upstairs and I found Jimmy Santiago Baca's book, Martin and Other Meditations. And it was this moment, I was always a reader, but I opened that book and I saw myself reflected.
Yep.
I heard my voice. I saw words that I use, and that was a moment that's always stayed with me, and so. How
long ago was that? Would you guess?
I was probably 15 or 16. Mm-hmm. I had a Honda CRX. Mm-hmm. And I would sneak out at night, and back then City Lights was open till midnight.
Wow.
So I would drive over and park, and go by myself.
You snuck out to go to the bookstore.
I know.
That's dedication.
Dastardly.
Yeah.
Bad seed. Yeah, man. So
that's dope. That speaks to who you are, though.
Yeah,
Come on.
That's awesome. But it was a moment,
Yeah.
And so for me, like, getting back to that idea of like white-owned bookstores, like, who are we seeing on the shelves then? Mm-hmm. Even in the best intended versions, who are we seeing on the shelves? Like,
even with the ally-owned.
Yes, even with the ally-owned, it's like, who are we seeing? So for me and Ton, it's always been like that idea of like, we want ourselves on the shelves. Mm-hmm. We're not niche, man. We're not like, there's not like a black African-American history section. There's a history section here. Because history is black, history is fucking Latino. Here in the United States, these are histories, Mm-hmm. So it's like, if you look in the kids section, there's books here in Tagalog. Mm-hmm. There's books here, in Spanish, in Spanglish, Mm-hmm. And books about African American history. There's books about Maya Angelou. There's books about, so that has to be here for us because otherwise it's not a bookstore. Right. We're a reflection of what really is here in North America. It's not like we don't buy that 30 days celebration thing, man. We're here 365 days a year, 8 days a week, So to answer your question, and I did digress quite a bit, but what's on the shelves here? Well, you're going to find writers of color. You're going to find books about Africa written by Africans. You're going to find books about in the neighborhood written by folks from the neighborhood, So it's important for us. And it's also goes back to what we were talking about earlier where like, you're also going to find this is a mission bookstore. So you're going to find mission writers here, mission poets. You're going to find, mission history.
Right.
That's all important. It's really important to have here. And it's also, it's funny because there's that idea in the publishing industry that's quite popular that brown folks don't read. Why are we not publishing? Well, it's the demographic, it's the sort of thing. And
it's a trope.
And they got pushed when that pendeja put out American Dirt. I can't even say her name, Jean Ann Cummings, sorry. Remember, as a white lady all of a sudden was like wrote this romantic novel about border crossing and like it was the most horrific, terrible. But it basically pissed off enough folks where a movement was started called Dignidad Literaria, started by Roberto Lovato and Miriam Gerba, basically a group of Latinx writers, Latina writers, black and brown writers that came to the publishing industry and demanded more representation, right? So, and then they got stuff like that, But that happened, but that was kind of that notion that these publishing folks were like, we're not publishing brown writers because people are.
Because it doesn't sell.
Yeah, it doesn't sell. Bullshit, man.
Yeah.
We come in here and the brown writers are selling off the shelves.
Yep.
You know, so it's also that let's change this narrative because it's not true. And how can we do it with the bookstore? Well, we rep who we rep on the shelves. You know,
it's that thing. It reminds me of. I hear this a little bit like, oh, no one watches women's sports on TV. So they don't put it on TV. Yes. Well, guess why they don't watch it? Because y'all fuckers don't put it on TV.
Put it on TV, yeah.
Yeah, no, you don't publish these books, no one's going to read them.
And it's that thing of controlling the narrative.
Yep.
You know, and it's a bigger extension of that. You know, where it's like, you know, but nah, man, brown folks read, little brown kids read, little viejitos read. You know, so you know, and that's what we've stocked here on the shelves, and we're really proud of it, man. Yeah. It makes me, and I see. I have, so the first day we opened, a mama came in and was in the back here, because if you go to the back, that's where the kids' books are. And me and Tom were up front, you know, it's first day, we're excited, Mm-hmm. You know, and then I come back here, and the mom is in the corner, and she's crying. And I freak out, and I go over to Tom. I said, the mama's crying, what's going on? And we go back there, and we're, you know, are you all right? And she was holding a book in Spanish, a kid's book in Spanish. And she said, I've never been in a bookstore before and seen a kid's book that looks like my kid. You know, and that was the first day.
I was gonna say day
that was
one.
The first day. I was like, oh, do we need a fucking mission statement? Do we do? No, this is why. You know, this is it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is why are we here? You know, so that, you know, that happened, and then
like opening the doors is your mission statement.
Yeah, man, it was just
turning on the lights.
It was so beautiful, you know. And then she came back 2 weeks later with her daughter and her grandma and her husband,
shit.
And it was like, you know, and seeing that the first day, it was such a beautiful sign. And then also, you know, there isn't a week, and I don't say this, I'm not exaggerating. There isn't a week that goes by that some youngin doesn't come in here and I see them open up a book and I see some recognition happen. That same thing that happened to me when I was in City Lights, man. And I'm like, I see that. I'm like, you know what? This is me paying back that debt.
I was going to say paying it forward is a phrase.
Paying it forward, yeah.
Recompense keeps coming up in my brain.
Recompense
as far as like what you're giving back to your culture, but also to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like where you're born.
Recompense is nice. Pay it forward sounds good too. Yeah.
One more question about the place.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple of things I want to talk to you if you'll indulge me. But the name.
Oh yeah. Everyone always asks about the name.
And can you say it for us in Espanol and English, please?
Yeah. Medicina para pesadillas, medicine for nightmares. The portal got named that because Ton and I were having probably the only time we've ever argued. Maybe we've argued a couple other times. We were out front of the store and we were throwing names of the bookstore back and forth to each other.
Mm-hmm. You're naming your kid.
Yeah. And each one of us was coming up with a worst name than the other. It was so bad. Like, I don't even want to remember. Like, you know, it was just really...
Wait, on purpose or...
No, it was just are you kidding me? You're going to, you know, and it was like, what the hell? And I don't know which one of us did it, but we were like... And it was the funniest thing. Again, like, I think some sort of guiding hand. All of a sudden, we were like... And it was very random. Let's look at Sun Ra titles. So for those of you that don't know, Sun Ra is an Afrofuturist musician, amazing musician. Me and Ton are also huge fans of his. So it wasn't that. I guess it wasn't that random. But we start scrolling on names, and then all of a sudden, we get to one album of his, and it says "Medicine for a Nightmare." And both of us, we had one of those aha moments where we just like both looked at each other, and you know, because for us, literature is medicina. These books of history that we have here, it is medicine. It's medicine against the patriarchal nightmares. It's medicine against the genocidal nightmares. It's medicine against the everyday nightmares that we deal with as black and brown folks. Mm-hmm. So it made a lot of sense. We were like, well, let's call it medicine for nightmares, because you know, and that was it. And it just stuck. And it's really funny because when we told people the name in the beginning, we had quite a few people like, what? You know, now everybody comes in and they think it's the best thing in the world. It's like it's fabulous, but like. Like what, like when we wouldn't explain it, we would just be like, yeah, it's medicine for nightmares, and it feels like it here, man. It really does, because this is medicina, and the books are medicina, and the galeria is medicina, and the people that come in, they bring medicina,
Yeah.
So
If you served food here, that'd be medicina.
Oh, and we do. There are pop-ups that show up, and there's definitely medicina food here for sure. But yeah, that's how it happened.
If I may, this place is, and I'm not speaking from myself for first person, but for you, it's like us for us by us, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, in a big way, and it feels like that here now. I mean, it always did from the beginning, but it's nice to see. I don't know, like Norman. There's a writer from the neighborhood, Norman Zelaya. He's a Nicaraguan brother. He got 2 books out. Puccino Press put out his first book. It was called Orlando. And then Black Freighter Press put out his second book last year called Gente Folks. But he's been in the neighborhood since as long as I can remember, man. He was part of Los Delicados, the spoken word group in the 90s. It was just fire. Basically helped me see what poetry could be and what it really is. Just an amazing writer. But, he's working on his 3rd book. And you know what he does? He comes in here, man, and he sits down and he writes. He's at the front. There's that table where the typewriter is for sale. He sits there and he writes, and like people come in and he talks to them and he's writing, and he an event will come and he'll come back here and watch. But like he feels that this is enough of his place that he can do that.
He can tap into that thing in him in this space.
In here, It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. So like us by us, like that, like you're saying, it's like this is what this space is for. Rebecca Flores, who's this amazing artist from the neighborhood, Fresno sister. She has this series of paletas where she takes this paleta that she made, this big paleta, and puts in different places and basically photographs it, And she works on it here. It's in the window now, but she's come back here and like, so it's like
a workshop.
Yeah, I feel it's a little bit of everything. Where if you need something here, it's here for you. So people, us by us, like you're saying. Yeah.
I love that. Okay, this is the part where we don't have to if you don't feel like going into this. This is an indulgence, but because the last time we recorded, we talked a lot about gentrification in the Mission.
Sure.
Not that it's an afterthought; it's still definitely with us. But I'm wondering, because you do a bookstore.
Yeah.
You do a bookstore with books by brown and black authors.
Yeah.
You do books by, I'm guessing, some queer authors.
Yes.
Some LGBT. Yeah. So
We're
I want to know.
Excited. We're gonna have a Keanu Reeves event in 2 months, and it's gonna all be drag queens singing. Like it's this book. It's this woman extensively researched Keanu Reeves, and there's a whole book of academia coming out. But she wants drag queens to basically read the parts.
Oh, yes.
So we're super excited about that.
This.
That's a digression, but yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
No. I'm just wondering because one aspect of what is going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And it has been for a while, is this movement to ban books.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you don't even have to say it, but like, again, opening your doors, turning on your lights, you're sitting, but I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, we don't have to squint our eyes too much to see that world where we're going to get arrested for having this stuff. Yeah. I mean, last night we had Dr. Mohammed Abdu, who wrote a book, Islam and Anarchism, who was fired from the college that he works at for speaking up against Palestine. We had him read here last night. 6 or 7 months from now, we probably will get him arrested for it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that close.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is. It really is that close.
Right. It's no joke.
Yeah. But we're here. I mean, and we got no choice.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna do. Whether they try and burn the books or they try and get us out, whatever they're gonna do, we're gonna do something back. But this space is here for people, and it's here for community, and it's here as a source of strength, because medicine is healing, but it gonna make you stronger, and this is what this place is here for. But no, we're not that far from that place that you're talking about. We're really not. We're really not, man. And it's scary, but
But it's day by day, I'm guessing, for you. You're just like, there's no question. We're here, we're doing it.
Yeah. And we get the phone calls from people too. We've gotten the phone calls. What the fuck? commie store. Commie.
Oh,
We're
that's a
commie
favorite.
store. Oh, okay.
I love that
shit like
that's
that.
still around.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
Commie. Yeah.
First of all, never a thing.
Yeah. No, we're commies.
More
We get
anarcho-socialists,
the
I say.
F word. We've gotten called the F word a lot. But it's. Yeah. It's an interesting time in the disunited states. That's for sure.
Yeah. Anything else you want to say about these wacky fucking times while we're on mic? Because
I mean,
I don't want this podcast to ignore it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And nor do I want my guests.
Yeah.
If you so choose.
Just so we know that I mean, and we've known this. This play that Los Estados Jodidos is what it is. I mean, this motherfucker's back, and thank you for showing us the true face of America. I'm sorry, but for us, it just reinforces that idea that we're the ones that are going to take care of each other, and that even more now, more so than ever. Like we can't depend on these fools, nor do we want to, So yeah, it's really like, I understand, and I don't mean to make light of how much terror this fool's spreading and how much damage he's doing to our people and hurting them. But he's also the stupid rock that we sharpen our fucking knives against, man. This man is going to make us step up, and take care of ourselves like we should be.
Right.
So I ain't thanking him for that at all. I'm a little bummed that the white people didn't know how to shoot better. But, hey man, if that's even
I know,
real. I know, I conspiracy, but yeah, that was so bad, dude. I couldn't just shoot.
Yeah,
like a gun sticking out of the bush, whatever. But I mean, it is awful times. But we're gonna be here, man. We were here in the past, and we're gonna be here in the future, and we're here now.
Well, they say it's always darkest before the light.
Yes, and it's gonna get dark.
Yeah,
it'll get real dark.
Okay, well, thank you, Josiah. What I'd like to end on, we did this last time. That's a long time ago for you. Every season on the podcast, we have a theme, and the theme this season is Keep It Local. What does that mean to you?
Keep it local. I mean, if we're thinking of literature and books and all of that stuff, don't think of these things as creations by these people that are far away, by these organizations that are somewhere else. Literature and poetry exists here. Knowledge exists here. Resistance exists here. We don't have to look far away for it. It's our ancestors in this neighborhood did it. So yeah, the local is local, man. I mean, everything that we need is here. So we just gotta remember that and take care of each other.
That was Medicine for Nightmares, Josiah Luis Alderete. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, meet and get to know SF Heritage President and CEO, Woody LaBounty. Episode 11 drops next Tuesday wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was created, curated, and produced by Otis McDonald. Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast is our contributing producer. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in the 7th season, we have more than 250 episodes available wherever you listen to podcasts. Check out the refreshed website, which I'm still working hard to repopulate with all the episodes. That's storiedsf.com. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show. You can also rate us on Spotify. Find us on Instagram and Blue Sky at StoriedSF. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay weird, stay informed, keep your eyes open, and we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.
This podcast is a proud member of the BFF.FM podcast network. Learn more at podcasts.bff.fm.
BFF.FM, best frequencies forever.